economic minerals. So ores. So first off, minerals are used to make many of the products that we use every day. So most of the stuff that we use on a daily basis comes from some kind of ore. Ores are minerals that contain a valuable substance, usually a metal, that can be mined for a profit. The big thing here being that it can be mined for a profit. Okay, you can have minerals that contain a certain metal, but if it's not in a high enough concentration, it can't be mined for a profit. So hematite is an ore of iron. There's enough iron in hematite to make it worth digging out of the ground and processing to separate the iron. Bauxite is an ore of aluminum. Ilmenite is an ore of titanium. Cinnabar is an ore of mercury. So these are all minerals that have a high enough percentage of the metal that we can actually mine them, process them, separate the metal, and actually make a profit on it. Now, changing supply and demand can cause ores to be reclassified. So supply, for example, if the supply of something decreases, like iron, for example, if we run out of hematite, we may switch to some other minerals and have lower amounts of iron, and then they become ores because now it is profitable. You can charge more for the iron, for example. That'd be if your supply decreased. Or if the demand increased and you needed more of that, if you needed more iron, for example. Or if the demand decreases, like cinnabar, it is still an ore of mercury, but mercury is something that's been banned in a lot of uses, so it may not be as profitable now to mine cinnabar because there's not as many uses for it. So demand could decrease, demand could increase, supply could increase or decrease. So, but changing those can cause ores to be reclassified. So ores are really just minerals that we can mine for a profit. Now mines. If the ores are deep in the Earth's crust, they're retrieved using underground mining. Okay, so you actually dig a mine shaft down and you actually tunnel under the ground and dig out the ore. Ores near the Earth's surface are removed using large open pit mines. A lot of copper mines and stuff are open pit mines. Now, mining produces gangue and overburden. So gangue is the unwanted rock and minerals mixed in with the ore. So for example, if the blue here's our ore, okay, these are the chunks of ore, then all this red material around here would be your gangue material. That's all the extra stuff that you don't need, okay, that you don't want. So the blue is the ore, the gangue would be the red. Now, overburden is all the rock and other materials that are overlying the ores. So if your ore seam is like this in the hillside or in the ground, all the material over top of it, that would be your overburden that you'd want to get rid of. Okay, so your overburden would be all this material. And again, your ore is this layer here. Now, if it becomes too expensive to remove the overburden or separate the gangue, an ore may be reclassified. So if you get to the point that you've mined all the stuff that's easy to get to, the big chunks of ore and stuff, and you're down to little bits and pieces, and it doesn't sell for that much, then it may be reclassified. Maybe it's not an ore anymore, or maybe that mine is just depleted of that ore. So these can be reclassified. But again, you have gangue, which is your unwanted rock and minerals that are mixed in with the ore, and your overburden, which is your rock and other minerals or materials that are overlying the ores. It's over top of them. Now, gems. Gems are kind of what we think of. They're valuable minerals that are prized for their rarity and beauty. So rubies are rarer and prettier than mica. Most are very hard and scratch resistant too. Some are cut, polished, and used for jewelry. Rubies and emeralds are more valuable than diamonds due to rarity. Diamonds really aren't that rare. Finding raw, uncut diamonds in the ground, that's not that hard to do. It's just actually based on the way companies marketed them. The De Beers Corporation mainly had a monopoly on diamonds, so they kind of limited the supply to make them seem more rare than they were. But cut diamonds are a little more rare because it is hard to cut diamonds. So yeah, once you have a cut diamond, it's a little more rare because It does take a lot of time and effort to actually cut the diamonds to make them nice and pretty. Of course, they're not really that pretty when they come out of the ground. You have to actually cut them and polish them and stuff to make them um, pretty enough for jewelry. Now, trace elements affect mineral colors. So trace elements can make one variety of mineral more colorful and more prized than other varieties. So for example, amethyst. So amethyst we think of as a gemstone. Well, amethyst is really just quartz with a little bit of iron mixed in with it. So there are trace amounts of iron in with the quartz that give it this purplish color. So we have amethyst. So it's really just a quartz crystal, a little bit of iron in it to make it purple. Rubies and sapphires are really just gem forms of corundum. Corundum is aluminum oxide. We talked about that earlier as a abrasive. This is actually what's used on sandpaper. This stuff is so common we use it on sandpaper. It's also one of our aluminum ores that we actually mine this and crush it up and separate the aluminum. But rubies contain trace amounts of chromium. So you got aluminum oxide with a little bit of chromium mixed in with it. You got a ruby. You got a little bit of cobalt and titanium, well, then you got a sapphire. So if you have some cobalt and titanium mixed in with your aluminum oxide, now you got a sapphire. These two are both about a 9 on Mohs hardness scale, which is just one below 10, which is diamond. Emeralds are the gem form of a mineral called beryl, which is a beryllium aluminum silicate. So it's aluminum silicate with beryllium in it. And this contains trace amounts of chromium and vanadium. So basically you have this aluminum silicate with a little bit of beryllium in it. We throw in some chromium and some vanadium, and then you got an emerald. So these are made of elements that aren't super rare elements, but it's just the way they are arranged, and we get these rare gemstones.